I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai, double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS, all the brothers doing the work. 144,000 hopeful elect. And I want to do a real quick video on the recession that's going on now. And they said that in 2024 recession will come. It says, I'll just read it. The 2024 recession is coming and will be unlike anything we ever seen before. Well, first of all, we already in a recession. We in the I would say we in the hyperinflation recession. So I'm gonna go here real quick in Revelation 18, and we're gonna read this real fast. After these things, I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illuminated with his glory. And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hateful bird. For all the nations are drunk of her wine, of her wrath, of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich through her. Salakia, through the abundance of her luxury. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, let least share in her sins, and least you receive her plagues. For her sins have reached to heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Render to her just as she rendered to you, and repay her double according to her works, in the cup which she has mixed double for her. Okay, in the mixture that she glorified herself and lived luxuriously, in the same measure give her torment and sorrow. For she says in her heart, I sit a queen, I am no widow, and I will not see sorrow. Okay, let's go to 8. Therefore her plagues will come in one day. See that? In one day. Death and mourning and famine, and she will early burn with fire. And that's the nuclear destruction that's coming to Babylon, aka America. For strong is the Lord God who judges her. Alright, and let's go to the video. We'll watch a little bit and I'll bring up more scriptures. Alright, let's go.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Clayton.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So we hear this report from Jeffrey Gundelach, and we see a number of indicators over the past few days pointing to an early 2024 recession. I guess we always get that sort of Christmas bump, where there's a little bit of temporary hiring, people are sort of in that Christmas holiday spirit, and then January and February hits, and we could be in for a crap show. What do you see right now?
We are already in the crap show. Salakia went to commercial. Ad.
Doctors Without Borders teams are saving lives.
Well, we look at a couple of things. You brought up the freight. So when you look at freight, one of the indicators you look at with freight, if you can believe this, is cardboard boxes. If you see a dramatic slowdown in cardboard boxes from manufacturers to people who need to deliver it. So I don't know about anyone who's listening to the podcast, but I seem to have an Amazon box show up almost every single day at my house. If you see cardboard boxes starting to decline, usually it's a decent indicator of where the economy is going. Sounds very simple and basic, but a lot of people use it, and it's extremely accurate. So I think the freight slowdown is one thing. Gundelach is talking about the interest on the debts, going through the roof.
And I'll pause it real quick, and I want to go to scriptures, and this is in Revelations. So let's go here. It's okay. We're gonna go to Revelation 18 and 9. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Put it right up. The kings of the earth who committed fornication and lived luxury with her will weep and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing at a distance for her, for fear of her torment, Salakia, saying, Alas, alas, the great city of Babylon, that mighty city, in 1 hour your judgment has come. And the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, for no one buys their merchandise anymore. See that? And as you just said about the boxes in Amazon, for no one buys their merchandise anymore. Okay? And I just wanted to bring that out real quick. That was going along with what the guy was saying in the video. Alright, let's go.
not just for the U.S. government, but for consumers as well. So if you look at bankruptcies filed, we are at the same levels of bankruptcies that we were just prior to 2008 for the Great Recession. We are at the same level as in COVID. When you look at personal debt, near record levels. Credit card debt, near record levels, actually exceeding record levels. Late payments on vehicles, climbing to a record level again. These are usually the indicators that say the consumer is tapped out, the pre-COVID money's at the end, and they're going to slow down their purchases. So what you've seen with a lot of the earnings coming out is that, yes, we may have had a great third quarter. Fourth quarter, we're a little bit concerned because consumer spending is slowing down. They're having to spend more on food. They're having to spend more on interest payments for their mortgages, credit card debt, vehicles, so on and so forth. So I 100% believe that in 2024 we are going to have a recession. I don't know. You must be living under a rock if you don't think we're going to have a recession.
We're already in a recession, and that's obvious if you paying bills and you have a job and you making money. Like I said, once you make the money, it's going right out the window when you pay your bills. Like even getting gas and all that, and buying groceries at Walmart or wherever you buy groceries at, your bill is like $20 to $30 more than what it used to be 4-5 years ago. So we already in a recession, and he know this. So I don't know why he's trying to hide that we in a recession right now. But everybody can see that we in a recession right now, and it's gonna get on it. It's only gonna get worse later on in 2024, before the election.
2024, how bad it's going to be is the question.
Oh, it's gonna get real bad.
At the end of the day, right? I mean, even if there's not a recession, what harm does it do to protect your family and to make some moves to at least shore up some of this capital to protect yourself in case we do have layoffs and people are out of jobs or skyrocketing prices? And I think that's a very big concern, especially if rate is declining. And you're seeing, I'm glad you brought up the cardboard box thing, because I was reading a report on cardboard boxes last week, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is really troubling. Cardboard box demand plunging at rates that we haven't seen since the Great Recession. So that is a true measure of our economy right now. People are buying things. If people are not shipping things, then jobs will be the inevitable fallout from this. Companies are going to cut the fat, and they're going to lay people off.
Yeah, people think that I believe that Wall Street has this crystal ball, or those guys have these supercomputers, and you look at cardboard boxes and you say, hey, look, how does that work? Well, it works pretty good actually. So yes, those are the things that you're talking about that usually come after. If you're not selling cars, there's going to be some people laid off, that are selling cars. We're already seeing people being laid off because of AI. People are just becoming much more efficient. Do I need as much from my secretary when I have AI, or do I need the answering service after hours when I can have AI answer it? So you've got a lot of different things converging at the same time. People have less money to spend. Things are becoming a little bit more expensive.
And all that
earnings are starting to be.
And all that AI talk is all about the MOTB, the micro C-HIP. That's what that's all about, getting everybody chipped. So that's what they're talking about. And you see that in the stores when they don't have like 2 or 3 women doing the registers, and they have all these self-checkout lanes, and especially in Walmart, they have like 2 or 3 people doing 2 or 3 women doing the register, and they have like 10 to 15 different self-checkout booths things. So that's what that's all about. They're getting everybody ready for the C-HIP, the chip that they're gonna put in you, put in the 2/3 in the heathen. All right, let's go.
Be pulled back by these companies that are looking at it and saying, hey, the consumer just can't keep spending at this pace. You can't keep spending if your credit card's maxed out. You can only go so far. So I believe that Gunlatch is probably right, where right around the second quarter of 2024, you're going to start to see the recession, but you're going to see the effects like you're talking about right after Christmas, when you usually see that January effect of, okay, things are on sale right after Christmas, let me hold off a little bit. A lot of people have been doing that and then purchasing in January. I don't think you're going to see that this year, and that will start to send some alarm bells ringing, and people will start to lay off people. readjust their earnings again for the first quarter and second quarter of 2024.
I've just been seeing, here in the chat, in the chat room here on our show, people are saying like it's going to be a lean Christmas. Like they're not doing big Christmases this year. People are not going crazy, and they're really pulling back. And I know that's just anecdotally here, people watching the show who have been saying that. But still, I think that's an indicator of where things are going. And then when you see the amount of things that you can buy for your dollar, when the value of the U.S. dollar has now declined to such a degree, where you go buy a value meal at McDonald's and it's now like $10, $10 to pick up the same thing that back in the 1980s it was $4.
And that's at Walmart too, and all the grocery stores.
So your dollar is going far less. It doesn't have as much traction as it once did under inflation.
Yeah, J.P. Morgan, right at the end of October, came out and Jamie Dimon said, look, the wars in Ukraine, the wars in the Middle East, have far-reaching impacts on energy, food markets, global trade, so on and so forth. True, we are spending so much money on this war when the money needs to be spent here in the United States on a lot of different things, in my opinion.
Let's say that again, and I said this a minute. See, it even got it on the most replayed on your YouTube, because this is exactly what I've been saying in my videos, that all that money they sending to Ukraine and Israel could be used here in infrastructure and getting people jobs and all that.
Yeah, J.P. Morgan, right at the end of October, came out and Jamie Dimon said, look, the wars in Ukraine, the wars in the Middle East,
pay attention,
have far-reaching impacts on energy, food markets, global trade, so on and so forth. True, we are spending so much money on this war when the money needs to be spent here in the United States.
Exactly,
on a lot of different things,
and that's facts.
But, you're going to see higher food prices for longer. You're going to see interest rates higher for longer. If you're investing today, like you were as the interest rates were going from the high in the 80s down to, really on a real basis negative, but let's call it 0.5%, 1%, and you expect that your mortgage is going back to 3%, you can forget that. You have to start investing today and thinking today that I'm going to spend more money on food, I'm going to spend more money on energy, and I need to change the way that I'm investing from a low interest rate environment to at least an environment of 5% to 7% mortgages, somewhere in that range, because that actually is the long-term average. So we just regressed back to where we normally are, but everybody's in shock because of it. So you're getting the commercial real estate, and the WeWorks just went bankrupt, so it's probably going to cause a little bit more problems with the commercial real estate. People have to change the way they're thinking about their investing at this particular point with interest rates, because it's the biggest driver of returns in almost every segment of investing.
That's a great point. I was just speaking with a number of home builders, and had a deep discussion with them. And I was asking them, how are interest rates been affecting, of course, the building process? They're still building, but of course now you're getting a lot of sort of baby boomers they're sitting on cash, they're able to come in and make purchases. Millennials, of course, are sitting back hoping that these interest rates are going to come back to a 3%. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. 2%, 2.5%. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
See that?
Again.
Everything's going up.
In the 1990s, when we had a housing boom and a rockin' economy, and interest rates were in the 7 range in the 1990s. So people forget that. And that was sort of a normal price range during a housing boom in the 1990s.
Yeah, if you look at interest rates on the long-term basis, you will see basically a 40-year up and a 40-year down cycle. So if you go all the way back to, the 50s, the roaring 50s, interest rates were fairly low. They pushed them down, so stocks are going to be high. The interest rates kind of worked their way up, and you had the boom in the 80s, and interest rates went up to 15%. Well, you tack on another 40 years.
All right, that's enough for that. Let's get some scriptures. And I'll probably skip ahead on the video and do a part 2. All right, let's go to let's go down. Okay, let's go down and start at 15. All right, the merchants of these things who became rich by her will stand at a distance for her fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, the great city that was clothed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour such great riches came to nothing. And that's what you're seeing now. And we're really going to see that when Yahweh shall return with the angels to destroy this place with nuclear fire. Every shipmaster, all who travel by ship, sailors, and as many trade on the sea stood at a distance and cried out when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What is like this great city? They threw dust on their heads and cried out, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, the great city in which all who had ships on the sea became rich by her wealth. See that? So like the guy was saying in the video, everything's going up. Interest rates and all that's going up. You can't buy a house, can't even really get an apartment because everything's so high. And whatever you do spend, it go right out the window, or you don't have nothing in your bank account. All right, let's start. In which all who had ships on the sea became rich by her wealth, for in 1 hour she is made desolate, and that's what's gonna happen, and that's happening actually now in Babylon the Great, in which is America. Okay, so let's go down, and I'm gonna read this, and that'll be the video, and I'll do part 2 tomorrow. Okay, where it's at, and I want to read 17. Did I read? Okay. Okay, I think I did. No, I just okay. Alright, let's read this. Then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea. Thus with violence the great city of Babylon shall be thrown down and shall not be found any more. And that's going to be the nuclear destruction with the nukes and the Yahweh with the angels and the chariots. Okay? No craftsman and all any craft shall be found in you anymore, and the sound of millstone shall not be heard in you anymore. And light of lamp shall not be shined in you anymore, and the voice bridegroom and bride shall not be heard in you anymore. And it's funny, it says that right there. It says, and the voice of the bridegroom and bride shall not be heard in you anymore. And what's happening now is less people are getting married because it's coming out. It's basically government fraud where they take over the marriage, and when you get a divorce, it costs like thousands and thousands of dollars. So people are not getting married. So the Bible's on point as usual when it says, and the voice of bridegroom and bride shall not be heard in you anymore. And that's happening now. For your merchants were the great men of the earth, for by your sorcery all the nations were deceived. And in her was found the blood of prophets and the saints, and that's the prophets and the apostles preaching the word on the streets, and making videos, and all who were slain on the earth. Okay. Okay. And yeah, I think that'll be the video, and I do part 2 tomorrow. So with that, I want to say all praise to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, double honor to the elders and apostles of GMS, all the brothers doing the work. Hopefully 844,000 Shalom. And this is part 1 of Redacted. The 2024 recession is coming and will be unlike anything we ever seen before. And I'll do part 2 tomorrow. Alright, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Shalom.